One by one, countries that once welcomed us with open arms are now slamming them shut. Policies are tightening, visas are getting axed, and the message is painfully clear. Filipinos are no longer wanted. Over 300,000 kababayans are now trapped in uncertainty, their dreams shattered overnight. But why? What's causing this global crackdown? And most importantly, where can Filipinos turn to now? Stay with us, because the one country on this list will leave you absolutely devastated. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed. If you care about the future of Filipinos abroad, hit that button and turn on the bell. You won't want to miss this. Let's get into it. For 12 years, Mario Reyes called Doha home. As a maintenance technician, he watched the city rise from the desert, skyscrapers stretching toward the sky, all for one goal: the 2022 World Cup. Business was booming, and for workers like Mario, the future looked bright. But the moment the final whistle blew, everything changed. Overnight, construction sites shut down, hotels scaled back their staff, projects that once needed thousands of hands suddenly needed none. Filipino workers who had built, maintained, and powered Qatar's rapid transformation were being quietly replaced. Mario's contract ended, but he wasn't worried. He had connections, experience, surely he'd find another job. But when he reached out to his old employer, he got a chilling response. "We are no longer hiring Filipinos." At first, he thought it was just him, but soon the whispers grew louder. More Filipinos, even those with years of experience, were being turned away. The demand had vanished. Qatar had shut the door. Now back in Manila, Mario is starting from scratch. His savings drained, his plans shattered. His friends, many of whom sold everything to settle in Qatar, are in the same sinking boat. But here's the thing, this isn't just about Mario. Over 260,000 Filipinos worked in Qatar at its peak, but today that number is rapidly shrinking. Qatar's shift away from foreign workers has left thousands scrambling for answers. And the worst part? Nobody saw it coming. And this isn't just Qatar, it's happening in other major countries too. More and more governments are tightening their policies, cutting off opportunities Filipinos once relied on. So what's causing this global crackdown, and more importantly, where can Filipinos turn to now? Before we reveal the worst country on this list, make sure you smash that like button. This issue affects thousands of kababayans, and the more engagement this video gets, the more awareness we spread. And trust me, you won't believe what's happening in the number 6 country on this list. It's not just rejecting Filipinos, it's completely shutting them out. Stay with us, because what's coming next is even worse. Imagine spending 8 years of your life raising someone else's kids, cooking their meals, and watching their family grow. Now, imagine that everything you've built, everything you've given is suddenly gone with a single policy change. How would you feel? Ana Reyes wasn't just any domestic worker in Hong Kong. She was a second mother, a friend, and a pillar in the home of the family she served. For 8 years, she poured her heart into the job, raising children who once called her Auntie Anna and making a life for herself in a city far from her own. But then, Hong Kong decided to make a drastic change. The government started cutting domestic worker visas, a new income requirement was introduced, and for families like hers, it meant Anna was no longer affordable. Her employer loves her, she's family, but love doesn't pay the bills, and now Anna is facing the harsh reality that she'll have to leave. One policy change was enough to shake the foundation of her entire life. Anna's story isn't unique. Thousands of Filipinos working as domestic workers in Hong Kong are now living in fear. They wake up every day unsure if they'll be the next to lose their job. The stability they once had gone, just like that. And the worst part? It's not just about Anna. The new policy affects every single domestic worker who relied on Hong Kong as a home. Now, families are scrambling to figure out how to make ends meet, and workers like Anna are left uncertain about their future. The dream of sending money home to their families back in the Philippines is slipping through their fingers. The stakes? Sky high. What's next for Hong Kong's domestic workers? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Have you heard about others in the same situation? How are they coping? And don't move an inch. The next country on our list, you won't believe what's happening there. Stick around, this is no joke. Picture this, Ramon de la Cruz, a 42-year-old from Pampanga, has been the go-to guy at a bustling retail store in Riyadh for over a decade. His colleagues often joked that he knew the inventory better than the back of his hand. Every rial he earned was a step closer to bringing his wife and kids to Saudi Arabia, dreaming of a united family under the desert sky. But then, out of the blue, the game changed. The Saudi government rolled out an aggressive Saudization policy, aiming to boost employment for its citizens by reserving certain jobs exclusively for them. Overnight, 12 major industries, including retail, HR, and healthcare, became off-limits to foreign workers. Ramon's position gone, just like that. Imagine dedicating years to a company only to be shown the door not because of performance, but because of nationality. Feels like being benched during the championship game, right? And as if that wasn't enough salt in the wound, the financial screws tightened. The Saudi government introduced a monthly levy on expatriates and their dependents, making it increasingly expensive for foreign workers to stay. For Ramon, the dream of reuniting his family in Saudi Arabia turned into a financial nightmare. But here's where it gets real. Ramon isn't alone. Thousands of overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, found themselves in similar predicaments. The once thriving Filipino community in Saudi Arabia faced an uncertain future, with many forced to return home or seek opportunities elsewhere. So, what's the takeaway here? The global job market is shifting, and policies like Saudization are reshaping opportunities for OFWs. It's crucial to stay informed, adaptable, and proactive. Now let's turn the spotlight on you. Have you or someone you know been affected by these changes? How is the community adapting? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's create a space where stories are shared and voices are heard. And hey, before you scroll away, smash that like button and subscribe for more updates. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Stay tuned. Armand Santos had spent 18 years in Bahrain. To him, it wasn't just a workplace, it was home. His 2 kids were born there, growing up speaking both Tagalog and Arabic. His wife, a former nurse in the Philippines, found a stable job in healthcare. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving. Until everything fell apart. First came the immigration crackdown. Bahrain slashed family visas, tightening its borders on foreign workers. Armand's work permit was safe for now, but his wife's visa was revoked. His children were no longer allowed to stay. They had weeks to pack up their lives and leave. My whole life is here. Now I have no choice but to leave. But the nightmare didn't stop there. Bahrain announced it was phasing out foreign property ownership. Filipinos who spent their life savings on homes and businesses were suddenly being forced to sell, often at a loss. What was once an investment in their future had turned into an exit ticket they never asked for. Armin, like so many others, watched as years of hard work unraveled in front of him. The day finally came. His wife and kids stood in line at the airport, tears streaming down their faces. The boarding call echoed through the terminal. His daughter clung to him. "Papa, when will you come home?" He wanted to say soon, but how could he when he had no answer himself? As their plane took off, Armand stood there, alone, lost, and staring into an uncertain future. And here's the harsh reality. Bahrain isn't the only country tightening its grip on foreign workers. The world is shifting, and thousands of Filipinos are being forced out of countries they once called home. But the real question is, where do they go from here? Have you or someone you know been affected by these changes? How is the Filipino community adapting? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. By smashing that like button, trust me, you'd be doing a whole lot of Pinoys a favor, because the next country on this list, it's even worse than Bahrain. Mark Villanueva thought he had secured his future. For nearly a decade, he worked at an electronics factory in Insyd, Taiwan, assembling microchips with precision. His hands, steady from years of experience, built the components that powered the world's latest gadgets. The long shifts, worth it. His job put food on his family's table back in the Philippines. Then one day, everything changed. The machines arrived. Row after row of robots, faster, cheaper, and according to his boss, more efficient than human hands. Overnight, the workforce was cut in half. Panic spread. Workers whispered rumors in the break rooms, their eyes darting to the robotic arms that never needed rest. Then came the new skill test. The company claimed it was for upskilling, but in reality, it was a purge. Thousands of Filipinos, Mark included, failed. Not because they were bad at their jobs, but because the factory had already decided robots were the future. Humans were a liability. I've done this job for years, now they're saying I'm unqualified? Mark was terminated just like that, no warning, no second chance. As he sat at the airport, clutching his last paycheck, he stared at the departure board. Taiwan had been his home, his livelihood, but now, it was just another country that had no use for him anymore. And here's the real nightmare. Mark's story isn't unique. Automation in Taiwan is wiping out thousands of jobs, replacing hard-working Filipinos with machines that never get tired, never ask for a raise, and never send money home to their families. Factories, warehouses, even restaurants, no job is safe. And if you think this is just Taiwan, think again. This is happening everywhere. So, what's next for OFWs? Are we prepared for a world that doesn't need us anymore? And before you even think about clicking away, the next country on this list will prove that the worst is yet to come. Imagine dedicating nearly a decade of your life to a city that gleams with promise. Maria Santos, a 34-year-old from Cebu, did just that. She arrived in Dubai in 2015, eyes wide with dreams, and quickly climbed the ranks in a high-end retail store. Her sales figures were unmatched, and she was on track to become a store manager. Every dirham earned was sent back home, building a better future for her family. But in early 2024, the ground beneath her shifted. The UAE government expanded its Emiratization policies, mandating that private sector companies with 20 to 49 employees hire at least one Emirati by the end of the year. While the intent was to boost local employment, a commendable goal, the immediate aftermath was a wave of layoffs targeting expatriates. Maria was among them. After 9 years of unwavering dedication, I was handed a termination letter, she recalls. Not because of my performance, but because of a policy shift. The retail sector, heavily staffed by Filipinos, felt the brunt of this change. Thousands found themselves jobless, scrambling to find new opportunities in a market that seemed to be closing its doors. And the challenges didn't stop there. The UAE introduced stricter visa regulations, requiring detailed financial proof, accommodation details, and return tickets for visit visas. For Maria, this meant her dream of bringing her younger brother to Dubai for college was no longer feasible. I had envisioned a future where my family could thrive here, Maria shares. Now, that dream feels unattainable. As of 2025, approximately 700,000 Filipinos reside in the UAE, with around 450,000 in Dubai alone. The recent policy changes have left many in this community feeling uncertain about their future in a country they once saw as a land of opportunity. But this isn't just about statistics, it's about lives disrupted, dreams deferred, and families left in limbo. So what does this mean for the Filipino community in the UAE? The Emiratization drive aims to reduce the country's reliance on foreign workers and provide more opportunities for Emiratis. While the goal is understandable, the sudden implementation has left many expatriates, especially Filipinos, vulnerable. Now we turn the conversation to you. Have you or someone you know been affected by these changes? How is the community adapting? Share your stories and insights in the comments below. Let's foster a dialogue and support one another during these uncertain times. In our next segment, we'll delve into another country where policy shifts are impacting Filipino workers, and trust us, you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. What would you do if the country you bled for, the one you thought was your second home, ripped everything from you and kicked you out with nothing but a suitcase and shattered dreams? Angela Reyes came to Osaka as a caregiver. She loved her job, she poured her heart into the work, learning Japanese, embracing the culture, and building a life she thought would last. But everything changed in an instant. The program that brought her here was ending. The Japanese government, once welcoming, suddenly turned its back on foreign workers. Now, Filipino workers like Angela were forced to switch visas, a nearly impossible task under Japan's new draconian policies. Angela was given just 6 months to leave. 6 months to tear down everything she built. I gave everything to this job, and now I'm just disposable, she said, staring at the letter that would change her life forever. Her entire future was tied to that one piece of paper, and now she had nothing but uncertainty. It wasn't just Angela. Thousands of Filipino workers, once the backbone of Japan's caregiving industry, were being swept aside. Their years of loyalty, their hard work, it all meant nothing in the eyes of a country that had no use for them anymore. And as Angela packed her bags, she realized just how quickly everything can turn to dust. In a heartbeat, the dream she built was gone, and she was left alone in a foreign land, no longer welcome. And the clock was ticking. Japan, once a sanctuary, became a nightmare. What would you do if the country you've called home for years suddenly erased your future, stripping you of everything you've worked for? No notice, no explanation, just gone. Jomar de la Cruz was one of many Filipinos who came to South Korea through the E9 visa program. For years, he worked in an automotive factory in Incheon, his hands steady on the assembly line, his heart full of dreams of a better life for his family back in the Philippines. Now, that dream is being ripped away. South Korea, once a land of opportunity for thousands of overseas workers, is changing its tune. The government has decided to phase out the E9 visa program. Gone are the jobs for low-skilled foreign workers like Jomar. And it doesn't end there. The country's new language requirements? Impossible! Suddenly, workers who have spent years here speaking the language fluently are deemed unqualified because they can't meet the new standards. Jomar, like many others, never saw it coming. He had given over a decade of his life to South Korea. He had learned their language, embraced their culture, and sacrificed countless hours on the factory floor. Now, he was being told he no longer had a place. But here's the brutal reality. Jomar is not alone. South Korea has made one thing very clear. They want fewer Filipinos. The push to replace foreign workers with locals is gaining momentum, leaving many Filipinos stranded and confused with no clear path forward. Jomar's future? Uncertain. And the worst part? It's happening right now. Just like Jomar, thousands of Filipinos are being kicked to the curb without warning, no severance, no safety net, their families left to pick up the pieces, wondering what happened to the dreams they worked so hard for. But this isn't just about South Korea. The same things are happening in other countries. Job markets are shrinking. Opportunities are disappearing. It's a global shift that many of us aren't prepared for. What happens when the country you thought had your back suddenly tells you to leave? What happens to your family, your future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Have you or someone you know been affected by this silent purge? What do you think of South Korea's new policy? From our stats, we've got more viewers outpacing subscribers. Kindly join our community. Thank you. All right. And don't go anywhere. The next country on our list, it's worse. And it might be coming for your job next. Hector Walshme spent 15 years in Kuwait. Not just any 15 years. Those were the years he poured his blood, sweat, and tears into his job as a skilled mechanic. He wasn't just good. He was essential, reliable, loyal. If something broke, Hector was the guy everyone turned to. But none of that mattered. One day, out of nowhere, Hector was handed a notice. You're done. Pack your bags. Why? Because he was over 40. Kuwait decided to refresh their workforce by sending home every foreign worker over the age of 40. Just like that, gone. Imagine this, 15 years of work, dedication, and life in a foreign country, only to have it ripped away in an instant because of a number on your birth certificate. That's exactly what happened to Hector. And he wasn't alone. Thousands of workers, just like him, skilled, experienced, ready to give more, were thrown out. No farewell, no gratitude, just cold, hard termination. And Hector? Well, he wasn't just losing his job. He was losing the life he built. His dreams of stability, of a future in Kuwait with his family, vanished in a blink. He was sent home with nothing but his memories and a one-way ticket back to the Philippines. The death of his dreams. But here's the part that really hits. This wasn't some isolated incident. It's happening to Filipinos all over Kuwait, a country that once relied on foreign workers is now telling them, you're too old. Now think about it. How many of us are just a number away from being discarded? How many of us are building a future on shifting sands, unsure of when the ground might collapse beneath us? And don't think this is just a Kuwait issue. It's happening everywhere. So what happens when it's your turn? What happens when you're the one pushed aside? Stick around because the next country on this list is going to make you question everything. Imagine this. You've spent 6 years working your tail off in a foreign country. You've got your routine down, your job stable, your life secure. You're building a future, right? That's exactly what Daniel Manalo thought when he worked in Kuala Lumpur's retail sector. But then overnight, everything changed. Malaysia's new Malaysia First policy came crashing down like a wrecking ball. And who got hit the hardest? You guessed it, foreign workers, especially Filipinos. Daniel had been working for the same company for years. He'd helped build it from the ground up. He wasn't just an employee, he was a part of the family. But now he was being handed a pink slip with a smile and we're sorry, Daniel, but there's nothing we can do. What did that feel like? Well, imagine spending years dedicating yourself to something only to be told thanks for everything, but your services are no longer required. Oh, and by the way, we're choosing Malaysians over you. Bye. Daniel couldn't help but feel betrayed. "I helped build this business," he said, staring at his termination letter, "but now I'm being thrown out because I'm not Malaysian?" Can you imagine? The sting of that realization hit him harder than any rejection he'd ever faced. And Daniel isn't the only one. Thousands of foreign workers across Malaysia woke up to the same nightmare. One policy change and their lives came crumbling down. No safety net, no second chance. And here's the kicker. The Malaysians' first policy didn't just impact jobs, it targeted dreams. Foreign workers like Daniel had spent years pouring their blood, sweat, and tears into a country that no longer cared about them. So what's next for these workers? Are we really ready to be tossed aside like yesterday's news? Or will Malaysia's first policy eventually swallow its own? Drop your thoughts below. Ever faced a similar betrayal in a foreign land? Let's talk. And if you think this story is wild, wait till you see what's coming next. You won't believe the countries that are now regretting kicking out Filipinos. Click the video on the screen to watch 10 nations that regret kicking out Filipinos. 2025 update.